بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين جل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف وجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره وشيعته. Inshallah, as you know, tomorrow we will have a session at the University of Ottawa, 7:15, on wise activism. And there was a suggestion to discuss it also here. Maybe some people are not from Ottawa or cannot go to Ottawa, so we discuss it now. But those who are able to come from Ottawa there, inshallah, they are welcome. And alhamdulillah, five organizations are working together so that we have this is a sign of unity. Alhamdulillah. The issue of activism is something that different groups, different campaigns in the world are engaged with. And it seems that for the most part, a kind of culture is attached to activism, especially in the West. The way, for example, in universities, different student bodies do activism, or the way some organizations do activism on internet or outside. Now it seems that a culture is being built around activism in the West that perhaps it's not an exaggeration to say that it has roots in some kind of left, movements, which may be called for, socialism or rights of, for example, labor and things like this, but then people use it for other things. So we need to have our activism, but what is important is we should not have activism for the sake of activism, or to show that we are doing something because community expects from us to do something, so we have to do something. Otherwise, people will blame us. We have to be active, but with certain principles and rules and manners. Principles are more underlying things that you have to observe. Rules are more practical guidelines, and manners are the etiquettes that we have to observe. What I would like to share with you very quickly is some aspects of Islamic activism or wise activism, because Islamic activism is with wisdom. One is that we should be not just holding a position or believing in something and remain passive, remain indifferent. Actions are sign of your commitment. If you believe generosity is good, so you must act upon it. If you believe charity is good, you must act upon it. If you believe that you must support the oppressed, you must act upon it. Like we can say, Iman is tasdeeq, is affirmation in the heart, declaration by tongue, but also action with organs. You cannot just believe and say, but do nothing. Action is important. When it comes to socio-political issues, we need also action. Otherwise, it remains as an idea in our heart and mind. Action is important. But action has to be guided with our principles. Has to be inspired by our principles. Why we want to act? What we want to achieve. It's very important. We don't want just to keep ourselves busy or do something. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. Allah created life and death to test you. Who is better in action? Ulama say it's interesting that Allah doesn't say لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَكْثَرُ عَمَلًا. It's not a matter of quantity. Who does more? No, who does better? This is very important. We are not interested in quantity unless quality is first approved. If you have a good quality and then you have more, it's mashallah. For example, you are able to say your salat properly, then do more salat, more nawafil. But someone doesn't know how to say salat and does a lot. What's the benefit? You all have heard this hadith. We had it also, I think, in Munyatul Murid. That the one who acts without knowledge is like a traveler who is on a wrong road. لا تزيده سرعة السير إلا بعدا. When you are on the wrong road, the faster you go, the farther away you go from your destination. So, quantity, whether it's a matter of more not in number or faster or wider, is not helping unless first we make sure that the quality is there. أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. And this needs knowledge. In addition to knowledge, this needs wisdom. And this is why we talk about wise activism. Knowledge is not easy to achieve. Imam Khomeini used to say that there was a common saying, عالم شدن چه آسان، آدم شدن چه مشکل. To become alim is easy, to become a true human being is difficult. But then he said, my teacher, Ayatollah Sha'abadi, changed this. He said, alim شدن چه مشکل. It's not easy to become alim. آدم شدن محال است. And it's almost impossible. to become a good person. So it's not something easy to become alim, and it's more difficult to be a godly person, a pious person. It's almost impossible. Of course, this is not to say it's impossible, but means don't underestimate this. Don't think that in a matter of few days or few years you gain what you want. So, alim shudan چه مشکل? It's very difficult. Especially nowadays, so much Islamic sciences have developed so many new issues, new attitudes. In the past, we had many people who not only mastered all Islamic sciences, but they mastered medicine, physics, mathematics. Yeah, like for example, Ibn Sina, he has Ash-Shifa, one of his books is Shifa, and in Shifa he has even mathematics, he has physics, and then he has another book, Qanun, about medicine. So he was a person who had comprehensive knowledge. Even near our time, Allama Tabatabai, for example, he was an expert in mathematics. Even he was able to design buildings like Madrasah Hujjatiyah. He made the design, and he had all Islamic sciences. But now it's very difficult. Even if you want to know all Islamic sciences, forget mathematics and physics and medicine, it's very difficult. Each of them has so much developed. So, I don't say activists should be scholars. No. But I'm saying activists need to be under guidance of scholars. This is very important. If for Salat and Siyam and Khums and Zakat we need guidance, which is true, then for socio-political activities we need more guidance, because this is not as clearly defined as Salat, and you deal with lots of technicalities, and you need someone who has knowledge, and you need someone who has experience. Sometimes I say to Jose students, I say, don't rush in giving lectures. You have to learn something. I remember in my first or second year of Jose, one of great ulama, may Allah inshallah protect our ulama, he's alive, Allah bless him. I told him, some people expect from us to do some lecturing, tabligh, and he said, tell them you are like students of medicine. Till you don't graduate, you cannot prescribe. Of course, another teacher of mine, my main teacher, was suggesting to us to start tabligh, but in a very small scale, and I like to go to primary school, but start something. But it's very important that you don't rush, and you start lecturing after your teacher gives you green light. It's very important. In our tradition, you don't rush and you don't rely on your judgment. Your teacher gives you instruction that it's the time that you now start lecture. So, I say to Talaba, when it comes to lecturing, don't rush, but after some time you should start. When it comes to becoming resident alim, you need even more time. Because someone who gives one lecture or a series of lectures is not comparable to being resident alim. If you are resident alim of a community, you have to be much more knowledgeable, much more experienced. You are dealing with people in different age groups. Lots of issues are there. No one should dare, becoming resident alim after 1 year, 2 years of study. Maybe we can have another category, say like assistant alim, but not resident alim. Anyway, after some time you become resident alim. But to get into socio-political activities, you need even more time. So not everyone can give lecture, and those who can give lecture, not everyone should be resident alim, and those who can't be resident alim, not everyone should get into politics. You get into politics when you are mature, when you are no longer emotional. We should all have control over emotions, but mostly those who are doing socio-political activities. Because if emotions get into this and you get angry, you can destroy. Look at Musa alayhi salam. He's a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and selected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and brought up by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Quran says sana'tuka li nafsi. Yeah? But when Allah says go and speak to Fir'aun, what does he say? He doesn't say, okay, Bismillah, I am going. No. He's worried. Am I able to deliver this task? Rabbi shrah li sadri. Please give me large chest, means lots of patience. Because if I go and I speak to Fir'aun and I get angry or I lose my patience, I can ruin everything. When Musa is worried, shouldn't be worried. When Musa says, وَحْلُلْ عُقْدَةً مِّن لِسَانِي, Musa ala nabiyana wa alayhi salam knew the language of Pharaoh. Yeah? He didn't need to use interpreter. He was brought up in the house of Pharaoh. He knew the language. He knew the mentality of Pharaoh, which is more important than knowing language. Sometimes we know English, but we don't know the mentality of politicians. He knew the language, he knew mentality of Pharaoh. Even he knew that, for example, Pharaoh how likes to have his tea. All the details he knew about Pharaoh. And he is equipped with wahy. But still he is worried. Am I able to speak clearly and make the message understandable or not? وَحْلُلْ عُقْدَةً مِّن لِسَانِي يَفْقَهُ قَوْلِي. What is the aim of activism? Is the aim that you express yourself, or the aim is that you make them understand what you want to say? Sometimes we just speak, but we are not checking whether they have understood, got the message or not. I heard this example many years ago, that in one country, our people had a procession for religious occasion. And because the road from the center to the main road was, dusty, they had made, they asphalted the road so that when they have the procession, there would not be dust. So the procession happened, and they tried to get some feedback from locals. What did they understand? Did you understand why we came to the street? And they said, you came to the street to celebrate the new road. They didn't understand anything. Why these people have come here to the street? Sometimes we go, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours to the street, and we are not even bothering, checking what impression we give these people. I very much like the way in one of countries they did Arba'in, and they invited me, but I was hesitant to go because I am not a good speaker for such gatherings. I am a good speaker if I am for a class room setting. But when I saw their previous year video, I very much liked it and I went. So they had carefully planned everything. First of all, their procession was in silence. Because imagine you come to a European or American or Canadian city, you start talking in Arabic or Farsi or Urdu. What these people think? They think these people are not able to speak our language. What they do here? All these years they have been here, they are not learned our language. And they don't get the message. But these people had it in silence. All the banners were either in English or Dutch. No banner in any other language. The colors were carefully selected so that it doesn't look like Daesh. You have to be careful, because these are time sensitive. Maybe at one time one color is good, another time one color is not. It's not that we say forever we should keep these colors. And then they stopped at the end in the main square in the city. Very short program, recitation of Quran, one speech in English or Dutch. So I very much liked it and I went and Alhamdulillah enjoyed. This is good because everything is well planned. They have good communication with the city council and they even support them. But if we are not that much concerned about what impression we give to them, whether yafqahu qawli or la yafqahu qawli, this is their problem. I speak. If they don't understand, this is their problem. This is not what a responsible representative of Islam thinks. Musa alayhi salam, who knew the language, who knew the logic, still is worried. In another place, he says, please send with me Harun. Here mentions Harun, but in another place says, Huwa afsahu minni. He's more eloquent than me. He can explain better. So, we need to get into socio-political activities when we have either knowledge or at least we act under the guidance of ulama. When we are not getting angry quickly, we are not triggered, we are not driven by emotion. Like Musa, we have sharh sadr. And make sure that there is a communication. What we say, they understand. And another thing which is very important, why do you want to speak to them? Why do you do these activities? Isn't it because you want to gain some support, some sympathy? You want to change their mindset, their ideas, and make it right or at least closer? In other words, do you want to build bridges? Do you want to improve relation? Do you want to add to their respect for you? Or you just want to release your anger? What do you want to do? Sometimes I see the way people do some activities is not bringing any sympathy. And if someone disagrees with them 50%, after few attempts of these people, they become 100% against us. And I have examples. I'm not just imagining things. Allah says to Musa, go and speak to Pharaoh. قُولَا لَهُ قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا. By Allah, forget me. Forget this meeting. Tonight before you sleep, review some of the activists that we have. Do you see any قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا? It's very hard to see قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا. There is nothing soft. The softest is too high and too harsh. Go to Pharaoh. Imagine Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sending 2 of his prophets to Pharaoh. If we send 1 sheikh to Pharaoh, they will kill him. Allah is sending 2 prophets to. Some people say because they are prophets, it's okay, but not anyone else. But I think this is missing the point. The idea is that if you want to have positive influence on Pharaoh, you have to visit him, you have to talk to him. Pharaoh is not going to come to you. And you cannot just send text messages or send messages just on TV. You have to meet each other and talk. Of course, there can be exceptions. I'm not saying everyone should meet everyone. But I'm saying in principle, if you want to reach a positive point, you should be able to talk and speak nicely, gently. قُولَا لَهُ قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا لَعَلَّهُ يَتَذَكَّرُ أَوْ يَخْشَى. This is the aim of activism. That someone who disagrees with you, you should speak in the way that inshallah لَعَلَّهُ يَتَذَكَّرُ أَوْ يَخْشَى. For example, if they want to ban hijab, if they want to make some laws against immigrants, whatever, we should speak in a way that they understand, in a respectful manner, so that maybe لَعَلَّهُ يَتَذَكَّرُ. Maybe it doesn't work, but if it is going to work, it's through this method. But if you go and shout at them and say, you are corrupt, you are bribed, you are agents of this and that, who is going to show sympathy to you? I don't think, if you know, there are people in the world that by shouting and swearing at them they accept. Show me these people so that you put them in hospital. Because I don't think any person whose mind is healthy, when you swear at them, they say, Alhamdulillah, I am not convinced. It was not clear, but after you insulted me, I am now very convinced. How can I help you? Sometimes maybe they don't know you. But in this way, they become against you. They actually now identify you as radicals or as people who are stubborn, people who can potentially be dangerous. So they actually plan against you. So we need wisdom. And if we don't have wisdom, at least it's better not to do anything. Because you can bring more harm. لا تزيده سرعة السيف إلا بعدا. Many times things should be handled privately. You know, sometimes maybe a politician, maybe a member of parliament, maybe a minister, if you meet him or send a message privately, maybe they take it seriously. But if you publicly take a stance against them, you put them in corner, and then they have to defend themselves and not to compromise sometimes, because they think that this is going to set up a bad example, or a sign of weakness, or maybe other people would criticize them. As much as possible, if it is something that is important, we should try indirect ways. There are many people who do lobbying, and there are people who are very good in lobbying. How many times you see them coming to the streets? They don't come to the streets. They meet in their offices, they invite them. Not that they come to the street. In the public, they are very respectful, but maybe in private, they threaten them, maybe they do, lots of things against people. Maybe they frighten them, but in the public, very respectful. some people are nice people in our community or Muslim community in general. But the way they speak, the way they behave gives bad impression. I'm not saying they are bad people, but gives bad impression. Another thing which is important, and I finish it after this point because it's getting late, is we have to be very careful in manners, not to do any haram. We cannot tell lies in order to gain something. For example, if I am bad with someone, I spread rumors against that person or lies about that person or that party. No. I cannot even exaggerate. Everything should be said with maximum consideration of truth. Your opponents should see sincerity and honesty in you, so that maybe some of them come closer to you. But if they see you are lying, you are not fair, you are not just, they become hostile. In Muharram this year, I talked about these manners. And I just want to mention 2-3 sayings of Amirul Mu'minin, but in Muharram we discuss them more. Imam Ali alayhi salam was faced with people in his camp who were not good followers. And sometimes, they were disobedient. They were not taking, commands seriously. He says, "Inni la'alimun bima yuslihukum wa yuqimu awdakum." I know what is going to correct you and to make your bending straight. Sometimes wood is bending. It's difficult to make it straight. But with force, you can make it straight and maybe even break it. Imam Ali says, I know how to discipline you. For example, how was Muawiyah doing? Killing, imprisoning, torturing, then everyone is afraid and, obedient. These are techniques that some people do. Amir al-Mu'minin says, I know these techniques. لَكِنِّي لَا أَرَى إِصْلَاحَكُمْ بِإِفْسَادِ نَفْسِي. But I don't see that I should correct you by corrupting myself. I'm not going to do anything wrong in order to make you obedient. I know how to do this thing, but I don't do it. This is what we have to learn from Amir al-Mu'minin Salam. That you are facing big enemy like Muawiyah, and your people are not obedient. They betray. But still, you don't compromise about your moral standards. Another case is when some people were unhappy with Imam Ali's just distribution of public fund. So some people suggested to Amir al-Mu'minin, you should give some people more so that they support you. These are influential people. If you give them more money, they will support you. He said, أَتَأْمُرُونِي أَنْ أَطْلُبَ النَّصْرَ بِالْجَوْرِ? Are you asking me to seek victory by injustice? So you are telling me that you need support of these people and give them more money so that they support you? لا والله ما أفعل ما طلعت شمس ولاح في السماء النجم. By Allah, I'm not going to do this as long as there is sun in the sky and there is a star in the sky. I'm not going to do this. والله لو كان مالي لواسيت بينهم وكيف وإنما هو أموال. He says, if it was my own money, I would have distributed fairly. If it was my money, but this is not my money. So even with my money, I was going to be just, let alone with public money. And the last is about the Battle of Siffin. This is very important historical point. Lots of lessons are here for those who are awake. And alhamdulillah, I see you are. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. You know, Muawiyah and his people first surrounded water and denied access to water to the army of Imam. And Imam alayhi salam sent some to talk to them to release, but they didn't respond. Anyway, they managed to conquer water. What is very important is some people in the army of Imam Ali alayhi salam, they said, now we should deny water to them. Because they did this to us. Amir al-Mu'min said no. Not only he let them have water, he made water in the way that they had access, they had access. So he didn't get, we give you water as much we want. No, gave them access to water. It's very important. When I reflect on this, I say, look, there are people in the army of Amirul Mu'mineen who think like Muawiyah. So even if you are in the army of Amirul Mu'mineen, doesn't mean that your mentality is mentality of Ali. Let alone today, we cannot say because I am Shia, my mentality is mentality of Ali. We can be Shia, but our mentality can be mentality of Muawiyah. We cannot take these things, for granted. Then another thing happened. Some of these people started swearing at Muawiyah and his people, doing sab. Amirul Mu'mineen said, إني أكره لكم أن تكونوا سبابين. I don't like you to do sab. When did he say this? in the middle of battle. You cannot even swear at enemy who is there to kill you. He wants to kill you. And now you want to kill your adab? Let them kill your body, but not kill your adab. But we are unfortunately sometimes seeing people committing suicide to their adab. They kill their own adab. ولكنكم لو وصفتم أعمالهم وذكرتم حالهم, instead of saying bad things, rude words, describe what they have done. Very objectively, not lying, not exaggerating, not mixing with rude words. Just tell objectively they have done these things. وَذَكَرْتُمْ حَالَهُمْ, mention the condition. كَانَ أَصْوَبَ فِي الْقَوْلِ وَأَبْلَغَ فِي الْعُذْرِ. This would be right and perhaps would give them chance to revise, because you want to give them a message. وَقُلْتُ, if you want to understand greatness of Amir al-Mu'mineen or greatness of any person, where you find their greatness the best? In difficult times, in the middle of war. Because every person in normal days might be good, might be kind, fair. But when it's matter of war and killing and, being killed, their hidden, things come out. But Amirul Mu'mineen, in the middle of battle, says, don't swear at them. وَقُلْتُمْ مَكَانَ سَبِّكُمْ إِيَّاهُمْ. Instead of swearing at them, say this: Allahumma ahqin dima'ana wa dima'ahum. Oh Allah, please protect our blood and their blood. وَأَصْلِحْ ذَاتَ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَهُمْ. And bring reconciliation between us. If today you talk about reconciliation with Muawiyah, what people would say to you? They will question you being Shia or having any loyalty. How can you talk about Amir al-Mu'mineen in middle of war says, pray, protect our blood, their blood. أصلح ذات بيننا وبينهم واهدهم من ضلالتهم حتى يعرف الحق من جهله. Please guide them from their misguidance so that those who don't know Haqq would know Haqq. Because we want Haqq to be known. We don't want to have victory as people. We want victory of Haqq. So, the idea is this. No matter how difficult the situation, we should not compromise about our moral standards. Our enemies should not doubt our honesty. If enemies trust our honesty, that's victory for us. They say, these people don't tell lies. These people don't betray. Once in London, I was talking about this issue, and I mentioned this point. This is my last point. In the battle of haq and batil, okay? So you have truth and falsehood. One of the greatest victories of batil is to convince people of haq to use means of batil. If people of haq use means of batil, they are finished. No matter whether the fight is continuing or not, you are finished. Because batil has imposed himself or itself on you. So we are fighting with batil, then we become zalim, for example. Or we become dishonest. We are finished. Because batil has managed to take us over. So, wise activism means that we have value for activism, we have regard, it's necessary, but not in any circumstances and with any cost. It has to be well measured, planned, delivered. It needs knowledge or guidance of people who have knowledge. It needs wisdom. It needs polite, respectful manner and commitment to our moral standards. Maybe we succeed, maybe we don't succeed, but at least we don't harm. We don't make things worse. If we make things worse, it's better not to do something. Okay, I stop here. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help people who have concern for truth, for justice, for peace, to find the best ways and best means and best manners for their activism. And we ask Allah to help us to also understand our duties and be able to fulfill them, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
We can have questions? Yes?
Something in Surah Ghafir, I heard one time that the Sheikh was talking about a mu'min who is hiding his iman in the government of Fir'aun. So the ayah says,